Once I get a soundproof studio, then I can really take it to another level. This is Volothan Modulus Tautology. Back to break down Superman again for y'all. And it's funny because the real hip hoppers know what I'm talking about. They just acting like they don't know what I'm talking about, and that's where it gets corny. You know, we all knew Biggie and Tupac was friends. You know, but they crossed that line, and they took it too far, and they couldn't bring it back. Even with their albums. You know, Biggie first album is Ready to Die. Like what? You know what I mean? Like that was, it was trying to outdo everybody type of movement. Like Nas dropped Illmatic. Illmatic is a poetic symphony of ghetto love. I mean, that's what that album is. It's even got a song called One Love on there, which was a tribute to a reimagining of One Love, Houdini, right? So we went from Houdini, One Love. You're lucky just to have just one love, to Nas's, One Love, which is different. One love, right? But his is more of a love letter to his homies that got locked up in jail. So, I mean, that's what people ain't get. But then when Biggie dropped Ready to Die, and the whole album controversy thing, and he bit off a Nas album, that's all Ghostface and them being that's how they play, come original with that, which was the idea behind it. The album covers was similar because they both used younger pictures of themselves. Biggie being a baby picture on an all white background or whatever, but Biggie album was different because he was he was robbing and killing and that's not what Nas was doing. Nas was just rapping about life in a poetic form. Biggie was participating in and being the superhero gangster. I don't care, if people going to die, right? And so by the end of the album, is a suicide song where he does they're not necessarily Russian roulette, but he put it to his temple, and it's like, yo, that's not for kids, and that's why I started off my Superman review how it is, because it's a PG-13 movie, and of course you don't see what is how I forget the bad guy's name that fast, right? Lex Luthor. You don't see Lex Luthor actually shoot the guy playing Russian roulette. But he does, like he does it once and click it and click and it didn't shoot. But then the second time, anybody that knows knew, like he about to blow his head off, right? And so, but they pulled back, but it was enough of a, if your imagination, like what happened, right? Or if you've seen a movie, a rated R movie where something that they actually splatter it and all that good stuff. They didn't splatter or anything like that. But there's a lot of parents out here that'll watch a rated R movie with their 10-year-old son, or and then it's like wondering why they got mental health issues. It is that bugged out, So like I knew my son was ready for it. He wasn't ready for it like 2 years ago, though. That's the point that I'm trying to make. Like 2 years ago, or like I tried watching Iron Man with him, and I could tell, what the first scene when when all the army men was getting bucked off, and then next thing you know, the bomb hit and it blew in his chest, and he started laying there, and blood started coming out his chest. My son couldn't take it, because he gets into his movies, and it's like, yo, like, is he dying already? Like, and it's like, so the lesson had to come, like, no, that's the importance of that scene, is that he was supposed to die, right? It was a God got involved, in Tony Stark's life. And now, that was a miracle. That's what made Tony Stark who he was throughout the whole universe, like the whole from there to Endgame. That was Tony Stark's. Like I was laying in the middle of a desert around a bunch of dead soldiers and bleeding out of my chest, even though I had a vest on. I was supposed to be dead, right? But he survived, and that changed him, who he was. That's why he was, you know, pretty much eating a hamburger, and it's just like, yo, I'm, give thanks to God for everything that I've been through, but I am Iron Man, like, right? I gotta do something to change the world. I can't be giving missiles to, these, to the Iran, because that was a political movie too. I can't be giving them missiles and stuff, and they killing babies over there. So in that aspect, these movies are the same. But what made Superman different, and what a lot of these young punks ain't getting, and I'm talking about Gen Xers that's like, that is a stupid movie. You ain't get it because your mind is slow. You know what I mean? You should get you get it. They just want to play the pessimistic, the pessimism, the pessimistic. They want to be the gloom and doom dude, right? Instead of being the optimistic, hey, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna survive. I believe in miracles, right? Instead, it's we're all gonna die type of, you know what I mean? It's like, dude, I don't want to be around you. Like that's your mentality. That's corny, right? And that was the previous Superman, the you know Zack Snyder's Superman. It was all doom and gloom, and in the end he had to snap Zod's neck. So it's like Superman even killing. Okay, all right, here we go, right? So I knew it was a different play, but that movie is that rated R? I think that one it might be rated PG-13. I got to double check on that, but that one was pretty much rated R too. This one's rated pretty much R. I mean, they snapped his neck, so it got to be rated R, I think. And that's why I didn't. But people, that's probably why I didn't do the Endgame kind of numbers. Like Endgame shouldn't, and Infinity Wars, they shouldn't have did those type numbers because they are PG-13 movies. Like they're not for. It's not a family movie. Even Wakanda, Black Panther did real good, over a billion. Like all those movies, even she wasn't as violent. Captain Marvel, even that did a billion, right? It was silly, it was stupid. That was her movie. And I don't remember seeing anything that I gotta watch it again, but I ain't trying to watch that again. Even Black Panther, I enjoyed it. I might have seen that one 2 or 3 times. But it wasn't the, you can't, like, I want to see more development in T'Challa, in the main character. So yeah, we do want to see Superman 2 and more development in the character, but I think this is supposed to be more of the Super Friends, or the Super Gang, or whatever they want to call it. It's supposed to be more of that kind of a thing, and saying that, nah, Superman, you're the leader of, because he's always considered the leader of the Justice League. Superman is the leader of the Justice League. Batman is, his moral, his proof that he is more moral. Because Batman might drop you off a building, break your legs, right? That's the difference between Batman and Superman, right? Batman is like, you won't kill, but I ain't gotta save you either. That's Batman. Superman is, he'll save you. So at the end of this movie, he it's like he's trying to save Lex Luthor after and then that's when Crypto came in and saved the day. Gnarled him, right? And that's the beauty of it. And also, what was going on over in the Middle East or whatever, he delegated his work. That's a true leader, one that can delegate the work to his friends, his workers, his co-workers, right? It's like, yo, I've been spending all this time trying to save the world, and you know what I mean, and it's like, I don't get that much time with my lady. So him and and you know, Lois Lane chilling and while Green Lantern and them fighting. That was cute. You know, that was a cute moment. And you know, some people don't get it. You know what I mean? Um, those that workaholics and don't spend time with their family, like that's the Godfather, right? That's one of the most important lines in the Godfather is telling his son Sonny, right? He said, "A man who doesn't spend time with his family truly isn't a man." Like he told that to his son. Yeah, that was gangster right there, you know. So yeah, let me see how much time I put in. 10 minutes, and I got two quick videos, and I'm going to run on a serious note, like you know what I mean, like I'm still continuing with the Superman. I'm still relating it to hip hop. That's why I got this "What is hip hop" there because everybody, you know, it's like we had to hit the reset button, you know, like so Superman is hitting the reset button, like you know, and to many he is the original, you know, sun god, right? Because he needed the sun power to power himself. So that's why it's okay. Yeah, he should. One of his weaknesses should be, you know, a lack of sunlight. You know, too much. You know, if he has to charge his battery, right? That should be one of his weaknesses next to kryptonite. But yeah, like you know what I mean, that's why his, you know, she had to go to a, you know, a planet with a sun to a red sun in order to, you know, her metabolism. Talking about Supergirl. Like I'm giving out, you know, spoilers, I guess, but not really because it is as much as a roller coaster ride as that movie is. In the end, it was about his four parents and the fact that they made them older is really a tribute to for grandparents, right? Everybody only gets, well, everybody has two parents, right? Everybody should have four grandparents. That's the moral to the story that we're overlooking, right? A lot of, especially in the African American community, they only know their mother's mother, and hence, you know what I mean? Like that's the response a lot of people give me. It's, you know, do you know where your grandmother from? And I'm like, which one? That's my response because I was blessed. My son was blessed to know both of his grandmothers. You know, I only know my grandfather. I never met my dad's dad. I never met my mother's dad. Um, and my son went experienced the same thing. So that's kind of what we have something in common. I met his grandfather on his, you know, his mom's father. You know, I met him a couple times, 2 or 3 times, and talked to him on the phone a couple times. Um, but no, I didn't have a super strong relationship with him like I do with my dad. My dad is like my older brother. You know, and I treat him as such. You know, it's like, you know, he gets ultimate. He gets Lord respect. But at the same time, you're just the elder brother. You know, God is our father. So we can have a nice deep talk about loving God, respecting the Lord, seeking wisdom, Sabbath day, and what's the fifth one again? Um, Fatherhood, mother. That's the lesson for my mom. Like, mom, you're not a part of the fatherhood. You're part of the motherhood, and we need y'all to get it together because y'all out of control right now. But it is what it is. I'm not here to grade y'all or anything like that because I'm not here to judge, but I'm here to have fun. So I'm gonna share a little bit of some real, because it is about realism versus escapism, right? Because that's what this new Superman movie is truly about. It's about escapism, escaping away, having a fun, enjoying a good movie. It's a perfect 16 to 26 couple date movie. It's perfect for that, right? My son's only 14, so for him it was perfect that me, my dad, my brother, you know, my younger brother, and him was able to go check it out. Yeah, I wish my other brothers, two brothers, you know, and his son was there. It would have been dope if all of us would have went to the movies together. But 4 out of the 6 was dope enough, and we had a ball, and I'm promoting this movie. Like, yo, you should go see it if you're old enough, because if you're under 13, nah, it ain't for you, right? Unless it come on TV and they edit it and take some of the stuff out of there that's a little too much graphically and a little too much. You know, they want to act like it's a kids movie, but it's close to, like, I see where they cut a couple things and did a couple angles that it wasn't as bad as I mentioned this other day. Wolverine and see, I can't. I keep forgetting his name. Wolverine and Deadpool. The Deadpool movies are rated R, so they're not for kids. So to expect them to do $1 billion, but these parents are just taking their kids to these rated R movies where with children that's 10 and still borderline mental health issues, right? Like growing up and learning about life is how you grow out of having mental health issues, right? So that by the time you're 14 or 15, you should know like, nah, being gay is corny, dude. What's wrong with you, right? You're supposed to be working towards becoming a man or a woman, right? And there it is. So I'm gonna share a little bit of some Generation X people, just this on the topics of being a part of the, trying to be a part of the black um, media, you know. But I'm more into just having fun and playing a game with the kid, teaching them how to do some game theory and mathematics and read and things like that. But I'm gonna get more. I'm gonna explain a little bit more to that after I share these two videos. Bear with me for 2 seconds while I let this play. And I did 16 minutes. I might get 30 in a day. And we're gonna rap a little bit about this stuff, and y'all can rap about it in the comments section as we proceed.
All right, YouTube. This is Detroit's HPTV coming to you out of Detroit, back with another video. We got a heavy discussion to talk about today. Heavy. Because I've been telling people for the longest that there is a specific reason that the Democratic Party panders to black people more so than any other nationality, black Americans. You would think that black Americans are the main voting bloc and constituents for America as it relates to the Democratic Party. Let me read something before I start. It's called, What is the Black Belt Theory? The Black Belt Theory is the Communist Party, USA, later adopted the suggestion that African Americans in the Black Belt region constituted an oppressed nation, that they should be allowed to vote on self-determination as had populations following War One under the rules of the League of Nations. This is the communists. Black Belt Theory. Google it, look it up for yourself. I'm going to show you the reason why. You see AOC, Democratic Socialist, Bernie Sanders pushing socialism, Zoran Mandami just won the primary in New York, socialist, and they even got another Somalian socialist in Minneapolis. They want to use us as an oppressed people, even though we're free. We're free. They want to keep telling you this victim ideology because they want to keep you angry at the government, and they want to always keep you not having faith in God. Because in communism, they take God out of the equation. They want you to consistently buy into the ideology of free stuff. See, in communism, they exploit the working class by telling them, oh, we're going to give you something free. We're going to give you Section 8. We're going to give you a welfare state. Even though it breaks down a nuclear family, even though it undermines self-determination, because they want to control you. They want to use you as a tool for a globalist communist agenda. And a lot of you may not even believe it. Because I don't expect my subscribers and the people that follow me to not be intelligent. I have a lot of intelligent people that subscribe to my channel. You know, as gritty as it is and as, you know what I mean, as simple as it is, to me, it's about information. It's about disseminating information so that you could think and see what's going on. Because why is the Democratic Party becoming the Democratic Socialist Party? They tell you that Trump is a fascist and you're dealing with an oligarchy. when really it's them. It's them that want to transgender your children. It's them that want to teach uh, this victim mentality to your children. It's them that want to undermine the nuclear family. It's them. Malcolm X said the most dangerous thing to the black community was the white liberal, because he knew that the white liberal only used you as a political football. Then Martin Luther King, toward the end, he said, I fear that I've integrated my people into a burning house. Even Martin Luther King, in his letter from the jail, he said the white liberal is the biggest uh, hindrance to black liberation. And I know that my audience is not just black people, but I got to talk to my own people, because you're the ones that they're targeting with this communist socialist agenda. You're the one they targeting with Planned Parenthood and termination of your pregnancy. You are the ones they want to use as a fifth column to destroy the country through ideological subversion. Because, like I read in the Black Belt Theory, you are already oppressed. So they offer you free stuff and you jump on it, not realizing what happened with Stalin in the Soviet Union when they offered the working class free stuff. Mao Zedong in China, Pol Pot in the Khmer Rouge. All through history, they've exploited the suffering and the pain and the trauma of the working class people, and they made them adopt a victim mentality, which made them hate their own government, and then they replace it with communism and socialism, and then you really start seeing the gulags. You really start seeing the fascism. You really start seeing the genocide and the executions. You don't believe that can happen in America? How can New York, the most capitalist city in the world, be voting for a socialist? He said he wants to have government-ran markets, so you can have WIC and welfare cheese in there, and that's all you get. Cap the rent and destroy the free enterprise of landowners. It's a takeover. It's a takeover. It's ideological subversion. They want to feminize your sons so that they don't ever be a threat to the power structure. And then they talk about, oh, the rich is getting richer. No, entrepreneurs are getting richer. Innovators are getting richer. It gets so deep. Me personally have friends who've been on welfare and Section 8 20, 30 years. And they mad because that's going to be cut off. And they able-bodied people. But the lure of free stuff will make you sell your soul. And if you ever have read the 48 Laws of Power, there's nothing free. Despise the free lunch. I keep these two books with me no matter where I go. I got 1984 in the Constitution because it keeps you mentally attuned to the politics. Now, what I'm going to show you, and you got to bear with me and watch these clips and listen and read between the lines what these people are doing. For real.
And there it is. I just wanted to share his part. I'm fair use. I'm gonna put the whole video in the comment section, like I do, and go check it out. That's Detroit HD, DeAndre. He's a good dude. Um, just to piggyback off him a little bit, and relate to what I'm talking about it, as far as escapism versus realism, is with Superman, it's supposed to be escapism. Superman is supposed to be the sun god, right? Um, that's supposed to be escapism. Jesus should be realism, right? Because that's the faith, that's the religion for Christianity and for Christians. Just as Muhammad is the prophet for Muslims. Now, we're seeing a lot of polarization between the two religions, and it's like, well, wait a minute, like, why can't we come together, one with the Bible and one with the Quran, and actually have a decent conversation? Like, and therein is, it's no, we've always been fighting between the three, including the Jews, and we're going to continue to fight until the end of time, right? And it's like, all right, I thought just the devil was supposed to be our enemy, because with hip hop, there's a whole lot of Islamic Christians. I mean, that's basically our faith as being hip hoppers. Common is and Pete Rock has a new album, and that's basically a gospel album. It's Mecca and the Soul Brother, where he talks about Christianity and Islam and the beauty of loving God. Um, of course, um, people don't want you to, be pessimistic and these are the last days and it's, Trump is the Antichrist, and without even recognizing that Biden was the one that was anti-religion, anti-God. Um, and his policies put into place, the LGBTQIA plus DFDF files, diversity, equity, inclusion. Those are the policies that are destructive to specifically, right, black families. And if you want to complete saying that, continue saying that that's not the case, and the Democrats have nothing to do with it, you're lying to yourself. That's why, delineating with the, you know as a foundational black American, really exposing a lot of their lies and a lot of God's truths. So, I got one more for y'all. I'm gonna share here is Doctor, Professor Black Truth, and that's pretty much it. I just wanted to share some. We're supposed to be, realism, serious, right? It's not supposed to be Superman, right? Superman is supposed to be what, second to who your God or prophet is. So Jesus, then Superman. You know what I'm saying? Like, we understand one is supposed to be realism, the other one is supposed to be escapism. Um, they're both supposed to be optimistic towards, your mental freedom, your mental justice, and your mental equality. But when we talk about mentality, um, and being and excluding physical and spiritual understanding, it's why a lot of people are going through these mental health issues that's going on, because we're living in a Western psychological ideology. Um, when we walk as people, as individuals, which is what the independence, and I'm still going on with the direct Declaration of Independence and being independent. I'm independent of the Democrat and Republican Party. The Democrats are dumb because they don't even promise black people anything anymore, but they still want to use our profits. If I am to say Malcolm X and Martin Luther King are my prophets, they're using them in the wrong way, and they're using them to have us follow them, um, and what they're doing is actually exploiting and destroying our people, because they want to be the communists in charge of everything that we do. So, as a socialist country, right? So we'll continue some more on with that too. Here's some Professor Black Truth, fair use, and hope y'all enjoy this one right here.
Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the Moment of Truth. I'm sure that a few of you have already seen this story. It's been making the rounds through the algorithm. Our brother Tarian Rain did a nice in-depth piece about this, and if you haven't seen it on his channel, you should. And under the circumstances, I decided that I should go ahead and throw in my 2 cents about this. Now, you got an organization called the Daddy Stroller Social Club. It was started by black men largely to bring attention to some of the mental difficulties and issues that go along with being a new father.
Calvin Bridgewater is the man who started it all.
I started around 3.5 years ago. Started based off of experiencing postpartum depression as a dad. not having those resources, not having those communities. So I want to thank y'all again for coming out here.
But it turns out these men were not as alone as they thought.
Started at 4 dads, and now we're sitting at 75 dads.
The club is also expanding to 7 cities, including Atlanta, Memphis, Oakland, and Seattle. And in every city, these meetups feature a daddy-baby stride.
What made you say, I've got to do this?
Moved here to Cleveland, had my baby about 2 months after that. Didn't know anyone, and I was kind of going through the baby blues a little bit myself. Like, I was like, I don't feel normal.
Scrolling through Instagram one day, he came across a guy group in Dallas, the Daddy Stroller Social Club.
Just a bunch of dads that got together, and I said, I think that's the community I need.
That's how the Cleveland chapter was born.
The reason that I show up and the reason that I organized this was just to make some dad friends. Plain and simple.
He started by setting a date and finding a place to meet, but then he had to find the dads.
Literally, if I was just out of my normal routine, going to the grocery store, and I'd see a dad there with his child, I'd go up to him, hey, we've got this thing going on at this date, at this time. If you want to come through, feel free.
He says the first stroller stride had a handful of dads. Now their largest so far, about 50.
What they decided was that they would actually lean on each other, and of course that's something that black people need to do because that's what actually works. The founders of the Daddy Stroller Social Club also decided that they should come together in order to push back against the negative stereotypes and images of black fathers that the white media persists in putting out there. Now, you have fathers, by some accounts numbering in the hundreds, pushing strollers with their adorable babies and even with their children, some of them teenagers, in tow. A mass family outing is what it is. This is a reinforcement of the institution of the family, which the white right in particular tells us every moment is under attack. Fox News and the Newsmaxes and other white supremacist sock puppets are always talking about how the family is not being supported by the culture, and that we need to bring attention to families, especially those black people. Oh, they don't know what family's about, especially those black men. Okay, well, you had dozens, if not hundreds, of black men with their babies and children in tow, in public, a mass demonstration, and Fox News didn't even speak about it.
And there it is, you know? There it is. And he's telling the truth. Like, that's why it's funny, because he's telling the truth, and it is the white right saying, you know, hey, you know, the black families, they're not, you know what I'm saying, but they're not going to promote us when we do. The problem with the left, is they share it too, but or they turn a blind eye on us needing the resources to run programs like that. Right? So we need financial help for that kind of a program. The one that my friend or a childhood buddy that from the neighborhood, he has a thing called Fathers Read 365. Shout out to Brent and them, right? Now, the issue with Brent's is that Brent, he has two or three partners, and it's okay, we get it, but see, notice the difference between what Brent and them is doing and what these gentlemen is doing is that they all come together, and like Fathers Read 365 is trying to work as his own entity. And when my son was in elementary school, I was trying to, okay, I'll meet up with y'all, me and my son, we'll read together with y'all or whatever. So that, because I was on that same level with them. My son's 14 now. So now it's, you know, Fathers Read 365 is, all right, son, what's a good book? We want to read Lord of the Flies, you want to read Harry Potter, it don't matter. But therein I have the issue with, I need to find fathers that have a 14-year-old son, right? And start up a book club. Even, you know, with what's his name? He does mathematics. Is Akil Parker? He does mathematics, so he does his own. He has a nice little channel. Shout out to All This Math, and he you know, he does try to do little videos with him and his daughter, and he has a younger son too. I wanted to kind of implement that kind of thing in what I do, but it's all right. how can I do mathematics club or something like that together? That's why I came up with the game theory. That's when my son came up with the game theory. Now we can implement real mathematics in with what we're doing as far as and that's what hip hop has always been. That's why it always comes back to hip hop life. So, but yeah, it would be cool to be a member of Fathers Read 365. But my son is 14 now, so we're trying to read Frankenstein or something different, something more adult. We can't read comic books all the time. We got to start reading. We're still reading comic books and stuff together. Or he reads a comic book. He's reading Superman. I'm reading Silver Surfer. I have a Galactus I got to return. You reminded me. But therein is the issue with that club is if we want to do like a real reading club, and then you're dealing with a lot of just the baby mamas. You can't, right? And then the baby fathers aren't involved. They a lot of them can't read, so it becomes a whole new kind of a challenge when you're doing something like Fathers Read 365. But check out at .org. Check them out, and all this math. But it's little groups like that we're trying to form. I'm trying to form my own. I'm walking the streets. I'm being a poor righteous teacher. I'm meeting people and coming up with concepts and ideas. But we need funding, and yeah, we can. I can give you the blueprint. I can give you the feasibility report and everything. But they don't trickle down. The right doesn't trickle down, and then the left will steal your idea and wants to be the socialist. They want to right. So it's okay. We'll trickle down, but instead work for my company. Now it's your company. Like that's the problem with the socialist kind of ideology of being communism. So and of course they acting like that's not the case, but that's exactly what they're doing. And the fact that it's as soon as you talk about religion, as soon as you talk about politics, as soon as you talk about science, it's we don't want to talk about that. Now you don't want to talk about the art of making the most out of life. There it is. There it is. One God, our Father, art of time, hip hop, life, love, one. God is love, hip hop is life, time is holy. Money is nothing more than a fourth dimensional illusion that really doesn't exist because socioeconomics is the art of making the most out of life. Now that's hip hop. I'll be back later on with some. I'm gonna go back to Sade Adu. Papa been laid off. We can't be listening to the blues all the time. That's the real moral to the story. And when you're living in this pessimistic life, be more optimistic in life. That's the moral of the Superman movie. Be more optimistic. You don't have to be realism. It can be escapism. It's just as important, but it's more important to be optimistic than it is to be pessimistic. There it is. There it is. One.